Nilakantanji, do you want to start with a prayer?
Yeah, sure. Ekam sadanekakaranam karanantara nirasya karanam karya karanamilakshanam swayam brahma tattvamasi bhavayatmani ekam sad aneka karanam ekam sat aneka karanam. Only one truth is there. That is the cause of these many. Karanantara nirasya karana. Further, there is no cause and no other thing can refute this cause. Karya karanam vilakshanam. One which is beyond cause and effect. And that you are. You are that Tattvamasi, you are that. And be that Brahman always. Don't leave from there. Just be.
Thank you so much, Nilakantanji. As Nilakantanji has ended with once reach, never leave. That is what today's day is. Today is 1st of September. This is the Advent day of Bhagavan. Bhagavan Sri Ramana Maharshi came to Arunachala on this day and never left. Even for one day, he never left Arunachala. And it is symbolic also because abiding in self and never leaving the self. So Arunachala, what is Arunachala for him? Arunachala for him is his own self. And Arunachala, symbolic, that knowledge is that hill. Not just a place, but it is the place in your heart, which is also in form, is known as Arunachala Hill. It is the same power. That same power, what he found within, he went there and he never left. So he never left here and he never left that place also symbolically. That is the Advent day, which is being celebrated today as 1st of September. And Bhagavan's life is also about the same truth, same reality, that once you come over here, then you don't leave. Then you have no interest in whatever is happening in Maya, in illusion, in samsara, and you never leave. So there are very less examples like Bhagavan, which you can also follow as came to Arunachala and never left Arunachala. And a lot of people wanted him to leave, like people actually prepared for him. He didn't say anything, he hardly spoke, and then when every arrangement was done, he never left Arunachala. So this is what with us, when you are on this path, when you are trying to abide in self, you will also get a lot of things will entice you. People, things, object, money, fame, whatever it could be. But you have to stay here and don't move from here. So I think this is a very, very auspicious day. and it has a very profound message for all of us.
Even though there was plague there, only 5 persons were left in Arunachala. All other persons, and many died, and he didn't leave. He just stayed there, and he saved Rama, that brahmachari, forgot his name. He was suffering.
Yep. Adi Palani Swami? Palani Swami?
No. That Rama brahmachari.
Ramanath Swami.
Ramanath brahmachari. He was suffering from plague, and only Bhagavan said that when he is serving all of us, why not we serve him? So like that he served him and he was suffering from plague and he recovered. So that's the beauty. That is not leaving means whatever be the case, he never left.
Even on the hill, During the plague time, when Ramnath Brahmachari was actually suffering, other people actually decided to move and leaving him there. And they said that we will provide him with the food, but we can't stay
Yes.
here. And Bhagwan said, no, I'm not leaving this cave. You all can go. He came for me. How can I leave him? And then he was saved. And he actually suffered a lot. It was a miracle that he was saved. So, exactly, Bhagwan's life actually itself is a to keep reminding about the same truth again and again and again, picking up stories from his life and imbibing those stories. If you love Bhagwan, then you have to be like Bhagwan only. You can't just talk about his stories and behave something different. And this is the beauty. Even if you want to behave different, you cannot, because that magnetic pull of Arunachala, Bhagwan, teachings, you get absorbed, you get finished. This is the beauty. And it's still working. It worked when he was there, and it's working much more than without form, when he is without form, because that energy is everywhere. Once you have decided to just be your truthful self and you don't want to leave, then nobody can make you leave. Even not your mind, even not your body, no circumstances. Because that truth which we are is always there. The only problem is when we are looking outwardly and we are interested in outward world. But if we have decided to be just staying in that, then whatever comes and goes doesn't matter. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Because real Arunachala is within us. You can call it your father, but father or you, there's no difference between father and you. This is the beauty of this pure self within us. Anyone wants to say anything? Anything to talk? Yes. Elaine?
Okay. It was just a small experience I had. It left me with more questions than answers. I was driving a car and I came to a stop behind a bus. And behind the bus, there was a big display, like an advertisement. And when I looked at it, I could make no sense of it at all. It was just a combination of colours and forms and shapes, and it was completely a mystery to me. And I thought, what's that? You know, there was that question. And then in a split second, I blinked, I looked at it again, and it was perfectly clear to me of the image of the was a man's face in profile with a light shining from the side into his eyeball. It was a very unusual thing. But in that split second, it was like I could make no sense of it at all. Like I thought afterwards, this might be like a child who comes into the earth when it's born, and it can't make any visual sense of anything. And then in a split second, the conditioning came in and I made sense of it. It's stayed with me, the experience and the unusual nature of that, of maybe illusion and conditioning and what seems real and not real. I wonder if you could comment on that.
Thanks for sharing your experience, Elaine. And look, I come across these type of incidents almost every week, if not every day, with different people. And these experiences only tell us that it's all creation of the mind,
Yeah.
which keeps changing, which you can't trust.
Mm.
I remember a lady had a stroke, and I was seeing her, and she said, "Can you stay away from me?" And I was on the side of the bed, and she was, and I said, "What is happening?" She said, "Your nose is touching my chest," because she thought it's like my nose is Pinocchio, which is coming and is touching her. So all these things, deformed things, can happen, even with structural brain damage, with hallucinations, with so many things. You might have heard about a neurological disorder, a sleep disorder known as narcolepsy. In narcolepsy, people have sleep attacks in daytime, and their nighttime sleep is very fragmented, and they get so vivid hallucinations. They are so real hallucinations, as if it's real, much more real than even a patient who has schizophrenia or who is hearing voices. They are so real that they get so confused whether it was a hallucination or whether it's real. So what is real, what is not real, what is true, what is not true, it's all creation of the mind.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you one more thing about this. When you go deep towards awareness, your own self, and you abide in with whatever practice you are doing, in early stages at night when you dream, the dreams will become very vivid, because at that time you are not practicing anything, you are not paying attention. So all that energy of the mind can only show its effect at night. So dreams which used to be faint or which you could not remember becomes very vivid, very colorful, and very real, because this is the whole process of, you can say, catharsis, or unfolding is happening, in which lot of changes happens. Like what you're talking to me, things can happen in so many ways. I remember many years back, I was taking a lecture at University of Third Age, and most of the people were there in probably in 60s, 70s, or even older than that. And it was a group of around 30 to 40 people, and I asked, has anyone has any experience of God? I thought I'll just ask this question, and three people raised their hands, and all the three experiences were quite similar. And the experience was something like, what yourself is just everywhere, and things have are at standstill. And these people were not doing any, at that moment, were not doing any practice or any sadhana. They were just in spontaneously, these types of things can come, which we also call a satori, like a realization that whatever is happening, the scene in front of us is just stops, and then you get into this reality. And actually this is also grace, because when you get those experiences, we should call them, because it is only the mind which reports later, when it comes back, that what has happened or what it think has happened. But this is a big clue to us, that what we see in front, which we call as truth, is it real truth or is it a relative truth? And the same thing is our mind. Our mind also is so conditioned that it wants to hear what it wants to hear. Let's say the two parties are fighting, or there are two parties. If you take their statements, it will be completely different, because they are seeing things from their own angle. They have a filter called as mind. So anyone with the mind cannot be completely honest. Anyone which is listening to the mind, how honest that person is, cannot be completely honest. There will still be some bias in that. And that bias actually conditions everything in our life. Sometimes you might have heard or seen in your own life that if you have said something, the other person has understood completely different, because even before you said something, the other person was thinking that you will say this only. So it happens, and this is, you can call this confusion, but it's not confusion. It is very clear that mind is not receptive to the way what you are
Yeah.
saying. It is receiving what it has to receive.
Mm. Mm.
And you know, when you come across all these situations, circumstances, your own experience, that always tells you that we can't trust this gadget called as mind for everything. So we should give others also a chance to say what they want to say. And when you realize within you that this mind deceives us, then how can you think that other people's mind is not deceiving them, whom you think they are doing a wrong stuff? So it's all the game of mind. And if you see the news and whatever is happening, everyone is just, it looks like chaotic. And that is why, look, even this issue with COVID, some people think it's a conspiracy, some thinks vaccine is useless, some think that we have freedom, we can go out without mask, some people follow scientific advisors and they do the right things putting a mask. Everyone has different opinion. How can you say what is right, what is wrong? So, but once you have interest in knowing what you are without the mind, then the whole journey starts. Then it's a different thing altogether, out of the word. It is so beautiful. And it is you, actually, you discovering yourself. And the good thing about this is that once you are trying to discover your own self, you have zero interest in what is happening in the external illusory world. Good or bad, you don't care. You just move out of it. Andy, do you want to ask anything?
I have something to say.
Yes.
Because
Yes, Neelakantanji.
just before the class or this meeting, or just reading something, some Sanskrit shloka I was reading, and it says, Nahyasya vidya manato dirikta manohya vidya bhagavan dahetiku tasmin vinatte sakalam vinishtam vichirumbite asmin sakalam vichirumbite. Apart from the mind, there is no ignorance. The mind itself is the ignorance, which is the cause of bondage, of conditioned experiences. When the mind is destroyed, everything else is destroyed. When the mind manifests, everything else manifests. This is exactly what has happened. That's what I'm feeling. Yes, you will not believe it. This I read half an hour before the class. And when I come to the class and this happens, so it's exactly the same thing what is happening. Everybody's mind is projecting something and it projects whatever it likes. And sometimes we are caught up.
Mostly we are caught up, I
And
think. Mostly we are caught up. True. I think Andy wants to say something. He has raised his hand. Andy, yes? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, g'day Sanjay.
Yes, hello.
Just kind of on what you were talking about just before in terms of removing yourself from the world. How does one like interacting with people that are still very much like engaged in the world and going after the I don't know, just like are fully living in the world and are fully living in their mind. And yeah, most people that I interact with on a daily basis are like that. Yeah, sometimes it can be challenging just interacting or knowing how to best interact with people that are like really, yeah, kind of living that way.
Very good question, Andy. And this is a very, very practical question. As I understood what Andy is talking about is when you are with people who have nothing to do with abiding in self or practicing abiding in self, and they are always in their mind and completely engaged in this world. And when you interact with them or when you are in their company, how can you stay detached? And look, this is what the practice is, because you can't change people, and our job is not to even comment on how they are living, or that is their destiny or their life. So so that is the reason why solitude or having time for your own self is so important. That if all the time you are among those people, then there can be an issue, because then it is very hard for you to not to get into the mind game unless you have completely sorted out yourself by practice. And I would say that spend some time with your own self and be more firm in your own seeing. And when you move out, you don't have to agree or disagree with anything. Just be there, like involved but uninvolved, engaging but disinterested. Because if you are so peaceful in within you, whatever is happening around us does not bother us. But yes, when it is a new budding flowering is happening, you are still practicing, yes, definitely it's a good idea not to indulge too much with busy minds, because it affects you as well. But once you are firmly established, then you can move out freely, and you can be with anyone. But I
Yeah.
fully agree with you. It is difficult when you are trying to establish and then you are with quite noisy minds around you all the time. So practice in your own solitude and then move out. And then what will happen is, because your energy levels will be so high that they will feel something about the way you are. You might look odd, but then they can feel your presence. So so the way you are getting influenced by them, they will get influenced by you. It depends on how much energy levels you have gathered within you. It is all of a game of that energy, of that pure presence. Actually, it is not black and white as a lot of people think. I used to think the same way, that it's like switch on switch off button. You are realized or you're not realized. It is not like that. It is a gradual shade difference. Each moment you keep changing, you get deeper and deeper. And so believe that the work is going on. If you are on this path, if you are paying attention to the self, even in midst of all what is happening you, the progress is happening within you. So because it depends where your vision is, whether it's on the external things or within. So when it is within and you see that noisy minds and it is causing some restlessness in you, it is also being observed by that awareness, and that is perfectly fine. And that also gives you an idea that how things are going. I think it's a self check happening all the time. It's so beautiful.
As we persist, the circumstances will also change. That's what I found. As we go on practicing, the previous circumstances change and more conducive circumstances will also come to us.
That is very true. With all of us, we must have seen this. Whatever your lifestyle was before, type of friends, people, situations, everything start disappearing or start changing. As because this energy is so divine, so pure, it attracts all what is conducive to its opening. Let's say in someone's life it becomes more chaotic, that also might be more conducive to your own flowering, because it happens in different ways for different people. As many people, as many ways. So trust, have trust on it, 100% faith and trust
Yeah.
in your own seeing, and keep working on it. And working is nothing but be aware of it, whatever is happening, not happening, rather than getting sucked into the mind, which is like a constant commentary on your life. And that, what I'm saying, your life is actually life of the body mind. It's not even your life. But just watch it. When you watch it, not even watching it, but not getting involved in it, the commentary just disappears. Another thing which will happen is, even those noisy minds around you will feel solace when you are there. So somehow even their talk will be less. Maybe they might can get irritated because they think there's no more fun in you or whatever. But everyone will see that change in you, that presence in you. So you have to solidify your own seeing.
Yeah.
I think Elaine wants to say
So it would be
something.
so much. Sorry.
I think it's a great question Andy's asking, because I think it's something probably we've all gone through. And I always notice people who have a sense of humor and a sense of a sort of like a lightness, to them. It's a very subtle energy which comes with that very light-handed humor. I think humor and lightness is a very experimenting with people who are lots of busy minds and who, if it's a bit invasive, like too much in your face, you can sort of just create a little more inner space by humor and a little bit of detachment. I think that can really help, and it has a magic of its own, I've found anyhow. That's all. Yeah.
And another technique which I think has worked, because everyone is different and the way your own way of dealing things is different. If you don't want to put a mask and you don't have to please anyone, I think silence is a very golden rule. So you don't know how to react, just keep quiet, that's not going to harm anyone. And silence has its own energy. There's so many times that people want you to be at that level and talk that, how should I say, like, very close friends, they talk on a, I should not call it a lower level, but like a friendly talk, which is full of just some crazy words and the way we behave. You can be that, but you still are not that. You can still be speaking that language, but that language is just coming like just to greet at that level, but it's not touching you. So there are so many ways, and look, that energy, that pure energy will help you when you are honest about it. It will, you can go in any type of society or any type of gathering, and you can survive easily. But one thing I want to tell you is, what you have asked is a really important question, because you are not changing the people around you. So everything is same except you. Circumstances can definitely change according to your own awareness. But if you don't like to be in that company, and if nobody's forcing, you don't have to just pretend that you still have to continue with that stuff. So that's why so many things just recede. So it finds its way in its own way. There is no rule about it. The only thing is, you have to trust and you have to stay. Like Bhagavan, when he moved to Arunachala, he had no plans to write who am I, or to do this, and who will come and who will not come, and whether even the body will survive or not. He had no interest. He gave up clothes, money, everything, and just he had completely absorbed in his own self, and then whatever has to happen happened, without least desire of having devotees or building an ashram or nothing. But things still happened, whatever has to happen, and it's still happening. So if you surrender to that self in the best possible way, it will take care of you. For others, it might look that Bhagwan went through a lot of suffering, but there was no suffering for him. Even when he was getting one meal a day, or he was more skinny, or he was bitten by insects, but it's all part of that game which he has already accepted. So he never suffered. Even when towards the end of his life, when he had cancer, he never suffered. So it depends. I think all this has happened just to show us that body is a myth, and disease of the body is not suffering at all. And that's what we see in Bhagwan's case also. So I think on this day, on his Advent day, it is a lesson, it is a reflection for all of us. How can we stay there without wearing this mask of personality? How can we be just clean and naked and pure? Look, even that nakedness, what I call naked awareness, symbolically he stopped wearing clothes also. So Bhagwan's life, actually, people who are really dumb, for them also, they can just see he gave up even clothes. So you can see like how simple it is, because cloth has nothing to do with that awareness, but symbolically he projected the same truth in so many ways. And that is why our goal is very high goal, because you have chosen a teacher who is so high that if you strive to reach there, you will reach somewhere. And this is the beauty. This is the beauty of having a guru like this. Otherwise, if your goals are too low, too shallow, then you can get a lot of fake gurus and fake guru after fake guru, and then you get more stuck up rather than moving forward. Here, somehow, we are all so fortunate to find a teacher whom I still call as living, because teacher, guru never dies, He's very much living in our heart. And actually, he has come to tell us from within our heart, to give us this message for us to be there. And this process is happening with his grace only. Even the interest in this is because of grace, and satsang happening because of his grace, and all the movement within is happening because of his grace only. Nobody can claim that he has done sadhana and he should be there. It is not a matter of, it is not bound by law of karma. Because he loves, he has given us grace. Why he loves us, we don't know. There must be something good must have happened because of our whatever good fortune you can say. But this is all he is doing for all of us. So wherever we are, whatever we are doing, if we keep attention on pure awareness, what we all are, rather than resistance about our life or daily living, or even if a resistance comes from some force, just give up. It's not a big price to pay, even if you lose some money, but don't lose your peace. Peace is more important than anything else. And peace is always when you are in yourself. Rest all doesn't matter. Rest all comes and goes. Nobody can control. So stay there, be aware of your awareness, and live life to fullest in your own joy. You don't have to leave anything. Only you should not be attached to things and attached to yourself. Like, people talk about running after joy, but you are joy. You are that living joy. If you touch your awareness, you're always happy. Yes, definitely, if you start having a chocolate or an ice cream, you will feel much better, I believe. Everyone likes it. There's no harm in having it. But nothing, if you don't get a chocolate, you'll not be sad, because that contentment is always there within you. And that comes from that pure energy, that awareness, which we all have, but we never look within, and that's why we keep missing it. We keep looking outside, external things, and sometimes we are looking outside because everyone is looking outside. As Andy said, look around. Everyone is engaged in the mind, completely in mind game. You don't know there's anything else apart from that. But when something changes within you, whatever the reason can be, inquisitiveness, your life, some teachings, it just takes a 180-degree turn. And look, so many of us might be in teaching or some sort of research or some learning new skills, but all these are so relative in this world. This partial knowledge, when you touch awareness, you realize that whatever you have achieved in your dream, does it matter? How does it matter? One day this body will be in dust. Does it matter what you have achieved or not achieved? And when you realize this with your own experiential understanding, nothing matters. Nothing matters actually. Because all these images which we are talking today, after some time, none of these images will be there. All will be dust, isn't it? Then this talk will not happen among these images. It might happen among some other images. And we somehow are so illusioned that we never think about death. We see people dying every day, every second. But we don't think about our own death. How silly it is. In one way, it is truth that we are never going to die. But the second thing is that we are not scared, not because we all think we are not body mind. Because of this illusion, we are so trapped. I tell you, the moment a person starts thinking about his death, that will be the opening of knowing who he or she is. Because this is part of Maya, that you see everything happening around you, but still you don't understand it. That this body will be disappearing soon, and then what will happen? And we keep running for things here in this world, which are changing, which are coming, which are going. Nothing has any meaning. And we never think about death. A person, if he starts thinking about his own death, then he will never waste time in these things around him. Then he will start receding back into what he really is. Because in one way, this body mind is a gift to know yourself. After you've lost this body mind, there is no way to know yourself. Again, another cycle. Probably then you might look into it. Why don't you finish now? And our daily life, every day, our 24 hours, gives us clue about who we are. We go to dream, we sleep, the mind takes us in a different world, and as soon as the dream breaks, everything disappears. That is such a beautiful hint what is going on in this waking dream. And then comes deep sleep, in which everything disappears, but we are at peace. But we acknowledge that peace when we come out of that deep sleep. That again is a good hint that what are we doing with this mind filled up with rubbish? When it is not there, we are at peace. And it keeps happening every day to us. But we never look into this happening and inquire this way. If you inquire even one day how your 24 hours goes, then you would like to tap into the deep sleep awareness while you're awake. And the moment you start looking into while you're awake, things will change for you forever. You become antarmukhi, you're looking inward. And you look inward, and things can happen in a fraction of a second for some people. For others, it might take weeks, months, or years, but it has to happen. There is no way. When you start receding from the body-mind complex, you create a big, huge gap between you and the body-mind. And this awareness, this knowledge, what you are, it just unfolds. Grace is not getting established in self. Grace is in even looking in this manner. That is the grace. Once the journey starts, it has to end by full liberation. It is not going to stop now once you have taken interest in it. Grace is to start the journey, because who is interested in it? Who wants to get out of the mind? Your interest in getting out of your mind is grace. And rest is going to happen.
This inquiry into deep sleep is, from my point of view, very important, because while sleeping, there are three things which are not there. You are not there, the world is not there, your God is not there. But still, you say, I slept very quietly, very nicely, I had a nice sleep. So can we live like that during the waking state? That itself is a great hint how we can manage the life without that mind being active. And during sleep, the mind was not active. I was very happy. No world was there. No God was there. Still, I was happy. So like that, can I be happy during the waking state, like the mind not going out, as if the world is not there? So like that, you can try to practice that, put into practice. That itself is a great game changer.
And it is such an easy thing. The other day, I sent this message, which just came to me, that why can't we just start a day as if you have no responsibility and no thoughts and no emails to check and no phone and nothing and no next step. You don't have to brush your teeth, or like, like you get up and you start doing in the like a mechanical way. Can you just sit and just be? I'll tell you, if you start doing this even for 5 minutes every day, it will bring a big change in you. You are getting out of the rut, you're getting out of the routine. You are saying no to everything, which you are not. And you're staying as just nothing, empty. Emptiness doesn't brush teeth. Emptiness doesn't start making a cup of tea. Emptiness doesn't check emails. Emptiness is just emptiness. Can you live 5 minutes when you will be without this body mind? Can we start practicing what is after leaving this body? Can you stay like that? Because you were there before this body mind and you will be after the body mind. Can you stay with body mind as if you have no body mind? And if you start practicing even 5 minutes, you will see how much you will recede from the body mind identity. There will be a huge gap. Whether anyone knows it or not, whether anything around you changes or not, but it is a big change within. It's a huge change. It is a change which you might never have done in millions of previous births. And people who don't believe on births, let's not talk about it. Even in this life, you will see a big, huge change. This change will be so profound that only you can acknowledge it. Others can acknowledge it if they feel something different in you. Maybe you look more eccentric or more crazy, I don't know, but this change in you will give you so much of peace. You are getting yourself disentangled from the body mind. Even for a few minutes in morning, if you just stay and stay firm, not to engage in anything. You don't have to take permission from your mind about it. Just stay. So look, here there is one suggestion I want to give. Everything you do in this world, you take help of the mind. In staying as yourself, don't worry about the mind. Because here the mind can self-sabotage and it can say, oh, you're wasting time. You could have done this, you could have done this. Who has time to just sit like this? You're wasting your energy and time. Whatever it says, know that you are not the mind, you are not the body. Nobody can guide you. And it is you who is living life, not your body, mind. So stay genuinely as pure awareness. Even this much of it is not even a practice, but your sankalp, your determination just to be what you are. And look how beautifully it will unfold your awareness. If you do it for 5-10 minutes, see the after effect of it. See the after effect in Bhagavan, who stopped talking and completely absorbed. He lost his speech. It took years for him to start speaking again. We don't have to go that deep unless you are fortunate to go that deep in your circumstances of life. But that's why Bhagavan is there, so, but we can still be somewhere if we detach ourselves from the body mind. And this practice of few minutes in the morning will give so much of lasting change in you that this will make you remember about it. As if, when you watch a very vivid dream, sometimes whole day you can remember that dream if it is so profound. Same is this awareness. It is so profound that if you pay attention to it, it lasts quite long. And then because it is giving so much of peace and contentment, your self-interest will regenerate in it. And then maybe whenever you have time, driving car, washing dishes, cleaning house, or whatever in which you are only with your own self, you can go more deeper in it. Because the work what you're doing is not actually an obstacle in it. You can still be in awareness and the hands can be doing. Even the mind can think. Then you become so practical in it that the mind can continue doing it. So like multitasking. You can be in awareness and the mind is doing its thing and body is doing its thing. They give a beautiful example in India. In India, the females who fetch water from the well or from river, they put one pitcher on the top of it. You can Google, there are a lot of pictures, and in villages they still do it. They put like 3 or 4 or 5 sometimes, and they fill up that with water, and then they take that water back home, and they're walking back half a kilometer or a mile or something like that, and they're talking to each other, but not even one pitcher falls down, and they're quite heavy. The reason is because whatever they're doing in the world, talking to people, making jokes, and their attention is there on their head. Same thing you can do in your life. You can be interacting with people or not, but you can pay attention to that awareness all the time. It is just a practice. And then it becomes natural. So first it is a effort, it's a practice, and then with practice, as you recede, it becomes so natural that the practice drops. One day the practice just drops. And the amount of practice you need depends on how much your interest is still in the things around you, how much they attract you. That long you have to do practice. Let's say someone is so simple that he is by his nature somehow, he has not much interest. If you tell him, and if he practices maybe for a day, job is done. For others, it might take years. So you never know how long it will take for a person, because everyone is so differently made and conditioned. But it is easily doable for everyone who is interested.
Just want to add a little bit more to that about the practicing in the morning. Can be done the other way around, but practicing in the night before going to bed. So automatically you come out with that attitude in the morning. So automatically it will continue. So last half an hour before going to sleep, when everybody has slept, you're alone. So you can use that time to quieten down the mind and be that. And as you come out of sleep, the same, you will drift only in that direction because you have gone deep. So the next half an hour in the morning will be as quiet. So that's another way.
Yes, Nilakantaji, but I say you start practice when you wake up and end till you go to bed. So
that is there, always there. But this is just as a beginning.
Yeah,
like you
maybe
start
more
in the night so that it continues in the morning. You don't leave it. So, as I told you, until you go to sleep and then until you die. That was what we talked about last week. So that continues always.
Yeah. Let's focus on this, but two intensive sessions, one in morning when you wake up and then one when you're going to bed. And then whatever you're happening. But the thing is that it is actually not that difficult. It might look difficult, and what is the person who is saying difficult, it's only their mind talk. It is awareness is always the same. It is just all the talk about practice and efforts and issues happening. This is all mind talk, Don't pay too much of attention on it. Just pay attention on awareness. More you pay attention on awareness, more you are awareness, more you are unfolding, more the mind is receding away. And this is the power of satsang, because when so many people who are moving into elevated awareness, it all is very synergistic effect. Because look, whatever part of the world you are right now, wherever, awareness is, we are all in awareness, it's the same, we are all connected. We might be connected on Zoom right now, but before Zoom, even without Zoom, we are all connected at that awareness. Awareness within, awareness without, awareness in all of us. And if we are all searching for that pure awareness and we are abiding in awareness, then everything is bringing you there. All that energy of satsang. So that is the beauty of this satsang. What for alone it can take efforts, too much of efforts, it becomes effortless. Andy, you wanted to say something? Because I saw that hand again and then it disappeared.
Sorry, I muted myself. I was going to ask, if we're in awareness, self-abiding, and we're interacting with people that are in the mind, are we in some way helping them experience themselves in a way? That was
so what you're saying
something
is,
I was curious about.
So what you're asking is that in self-abidance, if a person is meeting others, is he helping others to be in self-abidance? Is that right?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
You are only helping if they are interested in help. Because, you remember if Bhagwan's time, there were people who thought this man is not doing anything, he's just sitting in this cave, and people are freedom fighters, and people are helping poor, and he's just sitting there. And they even questioned him, what are you doing like this? This is no help to anyone. It depends what you want. If someone is has that thirst to know awareness, when they come close to ND, who is in self abidance, they will feel it. But someone who has no interest will never see it. So it is all about your own interest. We only see what we are interested in, isn't it? That's what our eyes are always looking for it. I remember when we were building our house, when we were painting, I could only see the paint shops. When we were after tiles, I could only see the tile shops. So what is in your mind, you just see that on the road, you just get attracted to what you are interested in. But yes, definitely, wherever you are, if people are interested in the self, then they will be interested in ND. So it is very, it has its own power.
It's like the radio. You tune it correctly, the wavelength is correct, you hear that station. So you should be tuned, and they should be tuned.
Exactly. So it's like you can call vibes or frequency. We use these words, isn't it? The frequency or vibes, or the energy of a person, and that's why people have different types of company, and that's why your company can change with change in your own wavelength, with your own frequency. So this is a very subtle divine frequency which is within you. Actually, mind is very gross. Mind is matter. You are going into a very fine frequency of this energy, this divine energy. So even your taste can change, the way you behave can change, your sleep patterns can change, your body can change, and they have to change because they all have to adapt to this new frequency which you are getting attracted to and you are paying more attention to. So a lot of things can change, but that's all okay if you are okay, if you just don't let your mind create issues that what is this, I don't like, or whatever. Just trust that, let it be. And I think that's the way. Someone else raising hand, I think Amit. Yes, Amit.
If I listen to Andy's question, or if you're in self-abidance, does it help others? I guess if you're in self-abidance, you're not in that, there is no you in the sense of you doing something, there's no doer. So if you're in self-abidance, whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, but I think Andy wanted to know whether you can help others. Yeah, if someone is looking for that help, then it will happen. But if someone is not interested in it, then it will not happen. Like you will not be doing anything, but whatever has to happen will happen if someone is interested in it. Because there is no doership in it. You are not doing anything. Nobody is doing it. Actually, even right now, nobody is doing this satsang. It's just happening. Maybe this is the way the destiny has planned, that it has to happen this way. These people have to come at what time they will come, and what time during the satsang they will go into sleep and come back and whatever. So it's all happening. So if you start accepting with total acceptance, even the discipline in it and chaotic thing and whatever, it is perfect actually. So there is no doer. No one can say that he is doing or she is doing. Nobody is doing anything. Okay, let's sit in silence. It's a beautiful day. Actually, I'm feeling very blessed that we are having a satsang on Bhagavan's Advent Day. It is His kripa, His grace that it happened today. And I pray And my humble praise that all of the people who want to be in that Arunachala Shiva in their heart, want to know, will manifest in Arunachala. And this is Advent Day for all of us, all Bhagavan devotees. We all abide in pure awareness, pure self, eternally. Om Namo Bhagavate Arunachala Ramanaya Namah. Thank you, thank you, thank you.